Blog Talk Radio.
Contra Radio Network presents the Roundtable Report, a discussion of today's issues. So the kid gloves are off as we listen to real answers from real people. Come and join us on the Roundtable Report.
And good evening, John Jeffers here, Contra Radio Network. Roundtable Report, Porky Wheels in the chat room. Good evening. Actually, good morning to you, sir, because you're on the other side of the planet. Tonight we're going to talk about secure communications again. As we start and continue the evolution of CRN from being, at least my shows, on Sunday and Wednesday nights, as we continue the evolution towards why you should prep, the wisdom and virtues of prepping, versus transitioning into an organized and operational prepper or patriot group. So, as we continue the transition here, for you listeners, we will continue with communications. You know, last week we talked about authentication tables, and we talked about some of the reasons why. I put a lot of information out there, maybe too much. See, Brandon is in the video, live video there on Facebook. If you want to join him there, if you want to watch the live video broadcast of the show, by all means, please do. It'll be on the Contra Radio Network like page, not the group page. So, Brandon, welcome. Glad to see you're here. So, getting back to it. Just so we all know, can't hear. Why not? Why? What is going on here? Come on here. All right. Well, sometimes things happen. All right, we'll see. See, I got that turned up. Got that turned up a little bit. Let's see if that will do it. Okay. What we want to talk about is, we were talking about, okay, Garen is in. Welcome, sir. Glad you're here. Thank you. He confirmed that, yes, we are. The signal is getting out there. Okay. Porky Wheel. Yes, he's in the chat. So secure comms is the way to go. That's the way we operated. But it takes experts to know that not like a grunt like me. Oh, great. Justin. He says, just put a sock on the mic. No one will be able to figure out who you are. Maybe so. All right, so getting back to it. We were talking about authentication tables, just so you know. The last few days, I have developed a project I'm working on. One of the project is this. I'm going to call it a unit status board. It's being built on in an Excel spreadsheet. It's working out fine. I've also, shall we say, developed 93 days worth of authentication codes. Now, I was talking to you earlier last week about authentication codes. And authentication codes ensures, or is a way to ensure how, or to make sure you are talking to the person you think you're talking to make sure that person gets the information. Back in the Cold War, they used to use what I called the CEOI. The CEOI was a paper book about that thick. And it had authentication tables. And it was 3 elements to it. The first 2 elements, which were letters, were the challenge. The reply was 1 element. So it might be, for example, Katana 1, authenticate Alpha Lincoln. And they might respond Bravo. And that's correct. That's the correct authentication code. I know I'm actually talking to the person I say. What I've done is, because the methodology is out there. They used the CEOI books during the Cold War. So the methodology is out there. I mean, if you want to look it up, you can look at the methodology. It's a pain in the butt. I did something different with ours. So for you prepper groups out there that want a CEOI, when I'm completed with it, what I've done, I've used 6 elements. 3 for the challenge, 3 for the response. For the response, I've used 2 letters and 1 number. So, how do you use it? Or when should you use it, okay? You should use it for example, let me bring this down, because I want you all to understand where we're coming at and why you should use it, all right? So don't freak out on me here. All right. What we need to understand is this, that a combat experience in Vietnam proved that false radio communications by the enemy contributed to substantial numbers of casualties, caused many missions to fall short of the desired results. So proper authentication procedures can prevent an enemy from posing as a friendly station. Now, the enemy is adept at radio communication, needs only a moderate degree of skill to seriously affect communication when we do not authenticate. If you are going to have an active prepper group, this is what your communications officers need to do, especially when they set up a communications net with their units or whatnot in their region. You've got to have the COI. You've got to have an authentication so you know exactly who you're talking to and when. But we're going to throw some more at you tonight. So a balance has to be struck so that effective communication is maintained without harassment of friendly communications. Okay? Authentication is one of the best means available to stop enemy infiltration efforts. Now, your operators, that is your communication officer, and his subordinates, those that are operating the communications equipment, are required or should be required to authenticate when they, 1, suspect a transmission is from an enemy station operating in the net. That's called deception. Number 2, direct a station to go radio silence or to break that silence. Number 3, you are challenged to authenticate. Talk about enemy contact. Give an early warning report or issue any follow-up report. Transmit directions which affect the tactical situation as, move to or turn off the radio, that type of thing. Cancel a message. Open the net or resume transmitting after a long period of silence. Transmit to someone who is under radio listening silence. Transmit a classified message in the clear. Transmit messages in the blind, that is, neither desiring nor expecting a reply. That's when you should authenticate. Now, let's assume this. Let's assume you have to transmit an authentication. Is used only when it is impossible or impractical to use a challenge reply authentication. For example, you might transmit this. Hellcat, this is Foxhound 3, do not answer. Turn east at Crossroad X-ray. Authentication is Victor Papa. I say again, Hellcat, this is Foxhound 3, do not answer. Turn east at Crossroad X-ray. Authentication is Victor Papa. Out. Now, if they're listening, like they should, they can find out whether that's a real message from the, what they're supposed to do or not, simply by authenticating Victor Papa. Okay? You understand, right? Does it make sense to you? All right. See, Donovan is in some time to sit down and listen in tonight. That's good. Now, like I said, I've developed a unit status board. I put it on Excel. I put it so it's in the biggest piece of paper possible. What I'm going to do when it's done, if you want a unit status board for your prepper group, for your headquarters, I will get this to you when it's ready. It's just about ready. What I'm going to do is add some more authentication tables to it. Make it worth your while. The trick is this. If I send this to you, the CEOI, you cannot lose it. You must secure it. You have to keep it confidential. If you lose it, everybody's CEOI is screwed. Does that make sense? So, I hear Gary here.
Yep, I'm here.
How you doing, buddy?
Not bad. How are you?
Good, good. We're discussing authentication tables and why. So now you know when you should use an authentication for your transmission. Those are the really good reasons to. But like I said, so I'm going to add some more authentication tables to this project. The unit status board that I'm working on will have this information, and this is how it works. It will have unit name, the date, commanding office, who's the commander, who's the lieutenant commander. Then you're going to have headquarters primary frequency, headquarters alternate primary frequency. You're going to have net control primary frequency, net control alternate frequency, and then further down, it'll be, you can set up your prepper group any way you want. For the purposes of the unit status board, what I've done is this. I broke it down into 3 teams. So you have Team 1, who's the leader of Team 1, and the roster. Team 2, the leader, the roster. Team 3, leader, roster. Now, with all 3 of those fire teams, you can also write down radio frequency, alternate frequency, and unit call sign. All 3 teams. You can also, at the top, we were talking about the unit status, so the commander can sit there and look at it and say, oh, okay, the alternate call sign for the headquarters unit. You follow me? Always have an alternate frequency. When you're using a CEOI, every day that radio frequency should change. If you've been duped, the radio net's been pierced, you think you've been under deception, or someone has tried to break into it, you go to a different frequency. And there's lots of radio frequencies to choose from. You're going to be using megahertz. You can use high frequency, low frequency, sidebands, lots of frequencies. Good luck trying to find them. Can it be done? Yes. But again, they start putting out information to your units, and it's not coming from you. That's when you break out the authentication table. Now, when it gets done, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to print it out, and I'm going to show it to you. We're going to show how to use it. Okay? But when the unit board is done, the unit status board is done, you'll be able to, once I'll send it to you. I suggest you get it laminated. You take it to the printer. Kinko's, FedEx, whatever printer company you want. Blow it up big. Laminate it. And then make sure you have a gross of grease pencils. For those of you who don't know how much a gross is, that's 144 grease pencils. And you got a lot of microfiber towels. You can sit there for the new day. Bump, bump, bump. For our purposes on the CEOI, we'll start at 12:01 a.m. day 1, and we'll end at 12:01 a.m. day 2. Oh, we got lots of backfeed. There, we'll put Gary on mute for a while. All right. So that's what we use. So there it is. Donovan wants to know, is there a Facebook for your prepper group? No. For those of you that were interested in that, I wanted you to know that on the 11th APG, last Sunday, if you heard last Sunday's show, I asked Chuck to take over the prepper group. I got too much to do here, and I've fallen behind on my responsibilities to the prepper group. I'll step down and let Chuck handle that. I will keep doing this. So like I said, so we'll send it out to you. You'll get the template. It's not going to be filled in. That's why you got to get laminated. And then you can put it on poster board or up in your retreat, your area of operation, boink, boink, boink on the wall. Anybody who's supposed to be in your command area or communication area can walk in there, look on the board, and see who's doing what, who has. Okay, thank you, Donovan. And Cyber Patriots in also on the video. Welcome. So you put it up there on the board. You write down date, the unit, your unit. I would suggest every unit, every cell you have in your prepper group, have one of these boards. It makes it so much easier. So when the commander walks in, he's not firing off questions right and left to everybody. He can look at, see the status of what's going on. Oh, I've got a meeting here with Team 1. Team 2's on defensive perimeter. Team 3 is out looking around for whatever. I would also suggest, and there'll be room for notes. So you can write the note in grease pencil. So everybody knows you got a meeting here at this time. There's also space for your communication officer, who's manning the Radio Shack, your medical officer, your logistics, your supply officer. And if you want, I'll even put together an inventory. So all you got to do is write down your inventory. We need this, this, this. If you want to, we could actually add another section, medical. Who's on sick leave? Who's active? Who can actually go out and do missions? Who can't? Who's doing what? It's important to know that stuff. Again, it makes it so much easier. The commander can just look at the board, read. Boom. He can read faster than you'll be able to tell him. He asks questions and you give him answers. He can look up there and get it all together right away. If he has a question, then he can ask you. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Does it make sense? That's what I'm talking about here. Now, what's going on in the chat room here? What are you talking about here? Okay. I don't know, Justin. I'll look into it, buddy. He wants to know if that's a good ham radio. Let's see what else we got here. Tim is talking about his experience with his G.I. Joe walkie-talkies. Don't laugh. That's how a lot of people get into wireless communications. Okay. You can get... Oh, okay. All right. That Porky Wheel, what you just posted, that's a Baofeng, just so you know. Nothing wrong with Baofengs. They're not real... Okay. If you're on the video feed, Cyber Patriot just posted, he's got an email from a person working at the Battleship Texas. They're telling me that they're hearing that there's going to be a protest near the Battleship Texas on Saturday. Only ones I know doing protests are Antifa. Have I heard anything about that? No, I have not. I've heard of Houston going, them trying to do something in Houston, and maybe Dallas. They won't go to Fort Worth. They have no political cover in Fort Worth. Houston, they do. Dallas, they might. But that's all I've heard so far. That goes out to Cyber Patriot. So that way, we got that taken care of, out of the way. Okay, getting back to this communications. This is what I found. I remembered, and I want to show it to you. No, can we get this? No, can't. Hold it back. There you go. This is it. Military Police Handbook. This is from 1981. This is mine. I earned it. I studied it, and I thought, I got this in my library. Let me go down and take a look. One of the things we want to talk about is this. And don't freak out, because it is rather dark here, so I'm going to have to turn on light. It's probably going to wash out part of the video for a bit, but the information is well worth it. So let me get this turned on, because this is really important stuff. All right. One thing you have to remember about countermeasures, and yes, I'm going to read it to you, because I haven't looked at this in 30 years. But when I looked at it this afternoon, I'm thinking, whoa, good information, and I want to get it out there. One of the things you have to realize, and what it is that you have to understand electronic countermeasures. That is jamming. Yes, jamming. So, one of the things that you're going to hear if you're being jammed, this is true. Recorded sounds. Any audible sound, especially of a variable nature, that can be used to distract operators and disrupt communication circuits. Music, screams, applause, whistles, machinery noise, and laughter are all examples. Gulls. The gull signal is generated by a quick rise and slow fall of a variable audio frequency and is similar to the cry of a seagull. It produces a nuisance noise on the voice circuits. Random noise. This is a synthetic radio noise which is random in amplitude and frequency. It is similar to the normal background noise and can be used to degrade all types of signals. Stepped tones. These are tones transmitted in increasing pitch, producing an audible effect similar to the sound of bagpipes. Step tones are normally used against single-channel AM and FM voice circuits. And then you have random pulse. Pulses of varying amplitude, duration, and rate are generated and transmitted to disrupt teletypewriter, radar, and all types of data transmission systems. So, what are you supposed to do? Well, first of all, you need to know the definitions are. What are we talking about here? What we're talking about is, for example, intentional interference. One is called meconning. It's the process of altering navigational signals so that the aircraft and ships do not arrive at the intended target or destination. Number two is an intrusion. The entrance of false information into friendly signal paths so that the operators react to the enemy's tactical advantage. Now, two types of intrusion. One is imitative communications deception. What happens is this. Friendly communications networks are entered using call signs. If you lose your CEOI, this can happen. Radio procedures and instructions to cause friendly forces to react for a tactical disadvantage. B is a nuisance intrusion. Friendly communications networks are entered in a pre-planned effect to disrupt or at least confuse both voice and hard copy transmissions. Plain text messages, random text resembling cipher, or combinations of text and headings taken from previous transmissions are received. They're spoofing you. Number three, of course, is jamming. What is jamming? Here's the definition. It's a signal transmitted for the purpose of jamming electronic emitters, radios. The signal may be varied in amplitude, frequency, or pulse by an almost unlimited variety of modulating signals. Jamming is subtle enough that operators will often not know they are being jammed. So what kind of jamming? There's something called a spot jamming. And it's a deliberate interference on a specific frequency or channel. So they zeroed in on your frequency. Now they're going to screw with it. They're going to step on it, whatever. That's why you have an alternate frequency to go to. And B is called barrage jamming. Simultaneous jamming of all receivers within the bandwidth of the jammer. So they might go from 45.0 to 53.9. Low frequency, by the way. Interference is any electrical or electronic noise or clutter whose source cannot be quickly and positively identified. Important stuff, guys. So, what can you do? I've got answers. Why? Because the U.S. Army in 1981 gave me this, and it has answers. All right. Some of the things that you can do. Oh, here's types of, before we get started, here's types of jamming signals. A babbled voice. This signal is composed of mixed voices engaged in simultaneous conversations, preferably in the same language with voice characteristics similar to those found in the victim communications net. B is tone. This signal is a single frequency of constant tone. It is used to jam manually keyed Morse code, voice, and radio carrier circuits. C is random keyed Morse code. This signal is produced by keying a Morse signal at random and mixing the keypad signal with spark noise. It is effective against voice and Morse code communications. D, a pulse. This signal resembles the monotonous rumble of rotating machinery. Pulse jamming signals produce a nuisance effect on voice communication circuits. So what can you do? Oh, we're back again. Sorry, Facebook is at it again. So question is, what can you do? First, we have to make sure you are being jammed, and it's not a problem on your end. Important stuff to know. So, you got to check the equipment or ground to ensure that the interference is not caused by a buildup of static electricity. B, you can disconnect the antenna. If the noise persists, the problem is within the radio receiver. If the noise diminishes, then the noise is being received. That means you're being jammed. So identify the type of noise. We talked about that. Is it a generator set operating nearby? Check the grounding and line communications. You got to know this stuff. 2, atmospheric conditions. For example, lightning or a hot wind blowing in desert or arid areas. How about a vehicle engine? You've all heard that. That's gasoline, not a diesel engine. Running nearby. Check the generator alternator connections and spark plug wire shielding. Move the receiver or reorient the antenna, if possible, and listen or look for variations in the strength of the disturbance. Then you can tune the receiver a few kilohertz above or below the normal frequency. If such detuning causes the intensity of the interfering signal to drop sharply, it can be assumed that the interference is a result of spot jamming. Now, we talked about the different types of jamming signals. Here's how to employ anti-jamming measures. Now, anti-jamming measures have been designed to allow radio operators to work effectively through intentional interference. Regardless of the nature of the interfering signal, radio operators will not reveal in the clear the possibility or success of enemy jamming. So when jamming is suspected, the following anti-jamming measures will be taken. First of all, don't start shouting, just remain calm. It's going to happen. Know that it's going to happen and you'll remain calm. 2, continue to operate. Number 3, do not admit to being jammed or observe radio discipline and observe radio discipline at all times. In other words, don't sit there and say, we're being jammed over the air. Just assume it's happening. Now, adjust the fine-tuning or gain, which is it's like a volume control, bandwidth control, bandwidth selector, crystal filter, and other controls peculiar to the equipment you're being used. All right. Number 5, you could increase your transmitter power. Or you could reorient or recite the antenna or change antenna polarization. 7, reduce transmission speed. So you got to speak quicker. Oh, my good friend Jerry joined in. Welcome, buddy. I'm glad you're here. So if the anti-jamming measures are unsuccessful, the operator should contact, what you do is just let your command know, and they'll give you another frequency. All right, there you go. That's what they tell us to do. But this is back in 1981. Now, nowadays, what we see is this. We see a lot of the authentications being done digitally. So paper CEOIs just don't exist anymore. Does it make sense? You're all with me on that? All right. Porky Will's in. Tim's Rants is in. Camo Mike, where have you been, buddy? We're talking Camo tonight. So, anyway. So we've talked about the reasons why we need a CEOI. Once the CEOI is done, and the one I'm making, like I said, the military only had a three element, 2 letters challenge, 1 letter response. Mine has 6. So it's a 3-element challenge and a 3-element response. Good luck. Oh, and I didn't use methodology. It's completely randomized. So you could use whatever you want. Good luck trying to figure it out. That's true. So when you have your prepper group, you have to figure out where your COI is going to go. The commander should get one. Communications officer should get one. Do not lose it. Do not lose it. If you do, you'll have to make your own COI. And then you got to get that COI out to all the rest of your units. For example, if you have 3 fire teams, they're going to need a COI because they're going to need to authenticate depending on how many days they're out in the field, what they're doing, their mission, all that good stuff. What you can do is don't lose it. Yes, don't lose it. And I won't make up another one for you. I'll make up your first one for you. Like I said, right now I've got 93 days already made up. I was thinking about maybe doing another 3 months worth. I said, and that will be the operational one. The one I'm going to show you, the one we'll work on here on the show, will be an example. It won't be an operational one. If you want the unit board, unit status board, you should get one. I said it's a lot easier for you. And I said I made it. If you go to Excel, I think the largest is like 17 inches by 22 inches. And that's pretty big. But if you take it to a printer, you could probably get it even printed on a bigger board, bigger paper. But again, get it laminated. Get your grease pencils because you're going to be doing this all the time. You know, not all the time, but to fill it out. So there'll be notes as well. You're going to have notes you could write down on the board, unit status board. If you want me to, I will even make you up a separate status board for every team member you have. For example, Team 1 gets a board, Team 2 gets a board, Team 3 gets a board. And it'll just be a fill in the blank. You fill in the names, call signs, all that good stuff. All right, let me see. Has anybody else called in? Nope, still just Gary. That's okay. Now, if you want to opine on this, please do. I'm expecting you to call. You should call. Our number is 516-453-9389. 516-453-9389. Call in. Tell me what you think. Do you have questions about what we're doing here? So don't pick up antenna brass with your... Okay, yes, we're not going to talk about that. We got that. Just checking out what's going on with the chat room. They're rocking and rolling in there, it looks like. Very good. Any questions on CEOI? No? Okay. We are not done with it. I'm just giving you a little bit at a time. I don't want you to be so overloaded that you sit there and go, huh? And get so frustrated with it that you just throw it all out. You do that, you consign your communications within your prepper group and to other groups in your area to the, shall we say, the castle of solitude, because they'll be by themselves out there. It says, John, are you putting in alternate call signs if compromised? No, that's going to be up to each prepper group. They could put in their call signs. They put in the alternate frequencies. I meant alternate responses. Okay. Good question. We're not there yet. Okay. Yes, it's a great question, and I will explain how that works. So it's a great question, Tim. We're not there yet because too many people are still trying to figure this out. Some people have never even heard of CEOI. They have no idea what it is. They didn't even know this existed. I didn't know it existed until 1983 when I went into Fort McClellan, Alabama. And they hand out this little book. In fact, Jerry it's about like that and about like that. And it's full of pages. It's got radio, and it's for training purposes. It had radio frequencies, and then had the authentication table. Well, here I am looking at the authentication table trying to figure out what the relationship is. I'm going, what the hell, what? First time I've ever seen it. However, it was very effective because it's virtually, unless you lose one or the opposition, the opposing forces, gets it, they're never going to be able to authenticate. They might guess, but the odds are them guessing right is not good. So, we've got no calls coming in. That's all right. Justin, do you recommend having multiple copies of books to use as a code system to hand out in emergency? Or do you want the individual units to purchase on their own? Look, you can make your own COI, Justin. But again, remember, multiple copies of the book, yes, it's good, and no, it's bad. Because the more copies that are out there, the better chance that, one, somebody loses it, or or two, it gets stolen. So you have to have, maybe it would be better to have 2 or 3 different copies. But that's why I put in 93 days of CEOI authentication tables. And I'm going to tell you how that works, so don't sweat it. We just haven't got to that point yet. Because security communications is what's going to make it work. This is what's going to make it work. Now, do you want the individual units? You know what? I haven't decided that. Welcome guest 1501. He's in there. He's back in the chat room. I'll tell you what. If I'm going to sell it, it'll be maybe $2 or $3. And will I email it to you? No. Will I mail you the hard copy? Yes. Can I email it? Sure. But the same issue is this. Whether I email it or send it to you snail mail, still a possibility somebody's going to see it, or somebody's going to get intercepted somewhere along the way. It's the nature of the beast in which we live in today. So, Cyber Patriot, he says, just let the Patriots know Battleship may be a secondary target for them. It's very possible for the Antifa clowns. We do not like them. Not at all. And he said, Justin in the chat room says, I'm sure the NSA is having fun time with this. Go ahead. Speaking of which, I forgot. Thanks for reminding me, Justin. I'd like to welcome the NSA and a certain field office for the FBI for listening in. I'd like to thank Brian K. for tuning them into that. Thanks, pal. All right, wait, another caller. Go ahead, caller. (817). Go ahead,
You there,
sir.
John?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, this is JD down in Texas, John. I was getting a bad connection. Just called in to listen on my phone. I apologize. I've been absent the last couple of weeks. Just been a crazy time trying to take care of the homestead.
No, I hear you, brother.
I just called in to hear what you had to say because I couldn't get a decent connection any other way.
I hear you, brother. It happens. That's why Gary calls in. I mean, he calls in on occasion to say something. For the most part, he's just listening in. A lot of people do that. That's okay. I appreciate you. Go ahead.
I was actually chuckling there for a minute when you welcomed the NSA because I end every phone call to my wife or to my friends with Mohammed Jihad, blah, 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 blah. And I swear to God, one of these days, somebody from Homeland Security is going to show up at my front door the day after they retire and punch me in the face because they've been monitoring my calls for 10 years based on the fact that I'm intentionally wasting their time.
No, they might. They might. Who knows?
No, I swear it's going to be some little old woman that reached 55 years old and she retired, and she's going to be the one that's been tasked my case, and she's going to take a vacation down to Texas just so that she can knock on my door and punch me in the nose for wasting her time.
I want to see it. I'll pay you $1. I want to see it. Pay-per-view event. It's a pay-per-view event.
$1 at least, because at that one I would probably just laugh. I couldn't even defend myself.
I hear you.
I brought it on.
Donovan T. in the Facebook video feed says, for the remainder of Grid Up, the groups only need one authentication per month. Anticipating or immediately following Grid Down, and the real deal can be circulated. Well, there you have it. See, and in COI, okay, COI is the backbone of communications security. You got to have it. If you don't, you're consigning yourself to failure. Your group failure. If you're a Patriot group leader, without secure communications, you are just assigning them to failure. We got another caller here.
It's just me, John. I'm going to listen this way because my Wi-Fi sucks.
How are you, Julie?
I'm okay. Attempting to listen to a whole show for once.
Very good. All right, I'll put you. You know what? If you want,
You can mute me.
I'm not going to mute you.
That's exciting.
I'm going to leave you live in case you want to say something. You'll be available right away. So no problem.
Thank you.
So we got Julie on the line. She is live. We got JD down in Texas. He's on live. And we got Gary on mute because he's dealing with children. But he can still listen. So that's good. All right. We will continue the show. Okay. If you want to join the chat room, it's available. It's open. We got Justin, Porky Wheel, Tim's Rants, and Tuki, which is Julie. She's in the chat room. You want to chat with Julie, you can. So let's find out some more. I think for right now, we've got as far as I want to go right now with CEOI. If you want the unit status board, if you think it's a good idea, I want you to do this. What I want you to do is this. Email me, contraradio@live.com. Contraradio@live.com. Email me. Tell me you'd be interested in the COI or you want the unit status board or whatever. So I can gauge whether or not I want to, how I want to proceed with it. If you think your unit or your group could benefit from those, let me know. Contraradio@live.com, contraradio@live.com. Update on Terry. If you listened a couple weeks ago, Terry had a new supplier for us. I haven't heard from him lately. He's got some serious family issues. Health-wise, he's fine, and his wife and son are fine. It's with his stepdad. And so I told him, hey, just take your time, get back to me on that. You don't have to worry about, the new distributor. We'll take care of that. We will deal with that. All right. Anything else? Okay. Normally, this is, of course, the Roundtable Report where the listeners get to drive it. But like I said, the evolution for my shows is changed. And by evolution, I'm not going to talk to you anymore about the wisdom or the virtues of prepping. I got 320 episodes of that. I'm not talking about it anymore. We are taking CRN to the next level. And the next level is to start telling people how to get organized and how to make your group function. Make it active. Now, I have tasked Julie with, from now on, Julie will not only will she talk about prepping for women, but she's going to continue on with the premise of the virtues and wisdom of prepping. Why you should prep, and different ideas for prepping.
That'll last about 10 minutes, and then it's the same thing over and over again.
Sometimes it is, but it's up to you, my dear, to make it not that. So feel free to get creative.
So
Get creative. All right.
John, that was one of the hardest considerations in possibly doing my own show. Is honestly, 100%. What can I possibly say that you haven't already said?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Good questions. And the answer is this. Sometimes people don't always get it the first time. It has to be presented to them in a different way. And all of a sudden they'll go, oh, I get it now. It makes sense. Also, how you present it. Different things. Different aspects. Different ideas. Different goals. For example, I posted something last week. Canned water. The canned water that I bought before was only good for storage for 30 years. The stuff they're selling now is good for 50 years. And it's only a few dollars more. So, it's important to get that out there.
How old are you, John?
You don't know?
Do you really need 50-year-old water?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm going to outlive all of you.
Sorry.
I came to a part. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Julie.
Oh, I was just saying, there's so much out there sometimes that we look at that we have to have because it's new or something as preppers. But, 50-year-old water, no offense. 30-year-old water For me, I'm 54, 50, so I'll be 84 before I drink that water. Am I going to need it after 84?
No, it's not a question.
You know,
It's not a question of drinking it after that. It's a question of saying, I've got water stored. It will be good for this long. It doesn't matter when you use it. It's the fact is you got it stored. It's ready to go. You don't have to worry about rotating your stock. Yumi Altman
Well, I'm
joined us.
wondering, as far as what, I've never seen cans last that long. I'm just being devil's advocate.
Do
here.
you not look at the posts I put on out there? Do you not look at those?
No, not usually, unless Dawn says do
Oh,
something.
look at that. Unless Dawn tells you to.
No, I didn't say tell me to. I said if she sends it to me.
Oh,
Hey,
my Lord, somebody get the burn cream.
Where is it? Where is it? So not only do you not pay attention to what I put out there, which is I put out great information. Great information.
You post from my sites.
Which
I've
site?
seen it already.
Which site? Which site?
And, John, I'm not going to lie to you. I actually spent a little bit of time doing the research, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I weighed the balance of canned water versus filters, filtration systems, standalones like the Big Berkey water filter system that they advertise through InfoWars. And long-term standing per gallon price, I actually find having extra filters for my Big Berkey to be a little bit more responsible than canned water.
I'm not saying canned water is the answer, is the do all be all answer. What I'm saying is it's there, and you're right. You should have both.
If you live in the desert, it would be a good idea.
See, here we go back
exactly.
to, and here we go back to.
I live literally on a lake, so it made a difference for me, but at the same time, while I will advocate first for a good water filtration system that is designed for stagnant water and the filtration of even the nastiest of water, at the same time, my son, my 16-year-old, does not have an actual bed frame.
Mm-hmm.
His bed frame is made out of long-term preservation water cases.
All right. Now, case in point. Here we are back again talking about Julie. Julie, you taking notes on this because I want you to understand what just happened. What we've done is we're back to the wisdom and virtues of prepping. That's where you come in. Got it?
Yeah, but if you're listening to me,
good God.
we're all in trouble.
Oh, dear.
No, well, your conversation there precludes wisdom and virtue on Julie's behalf. And,
I'm virtuous.
I don't know you that well.
I'll take that one.
But anyway.
I understand what you're saying, John, and honestly, I do look at your stuff.
No, you don't.
It's you have. I'm trying to be when we prep. You know, we're so inundated with.
Say it.
All this information from all these different sites. And
Absolutely.
It's like there's 200 different kinds of backpacks
You're right.
and 300 different kinds of bullets and what quality. And that gets really confusing, even to me, because where I'm not familiar with high-tech stuff, because I grew up in the make-do type of thing where you made it yourself or you learned your skills and you didn't have to rely on this stuff. I mean,
right.
I've mentioned it before. You know, when I go out, I bring wool blankets. I hike with my wool blankets. Okay, well, they weigh 30 pounds, and I could have brought a 16-ounce solar blanket, but I don't like that stuff. I like my old stuff that I know I can trust. So
no, I hear you.
I mean,
the idea
for me, for example, for the water, I would rather make a filter long term out of charcoal and gravel and sand and filter it down and do something else rather than buy cans of water that would sit on my shelf for 50 years.
No, I get it. I get it. I know what you're saying. My point.
And that's just me. I'm probably a different kind of prepper.
No, not necessarily, because you brought up a good point. I mean, sometimes there's too much information out there, and we have to try and wade through what's a piece of junk and what isn't. That's why a lot of times I'll post something, and once in a while, somebody will say, look, I ordered this. It's a piece of junk. Stay away from it. Cool. Now we all know this is a piece of junk. Stay away from it. Those that don't listen to the CRN, what can I tell you? But no, I hear what you're saying.
I agree with
that. No, I hear what you're saying.
You know, if you're doing and we should do that maybe as a side thing. Look at some of this stuff, and maybe if it's not horribly expensive, I might try it out and give it a review, or somebody who's tried it out could give it a review and have a little section for that. For me, my weaknesses are ammo, stuff that has to do with handguns and that.
Death and destruction.
Because I shoot a bow. I mean, I know about bows, but
okay.
When you look at, say, 9mm ammo, you've got 9mm, and it has the round tip, and then you have different jackets, and you got different tips, and I have no clue what they are all for. I figure if I get one and I put it in my gun and I shoot it at something, it's going to go off, and that's going to be it.
Right.
But they have different velocities, different grains, all these things. Well, that's confusing, especially to women. I mean, I'm sure.
That's why you have a show.
Some of the gals, huh?
That's why you have a show.
Let me step in. Let me step in for just a second, because this is one of those, John. You know me. I'm a gun guy all the way around.
All right.
Julie, let me go ahead and lay this out as simple for you as I possibly can. Let's say you carry a 9mm, and your next door neighbor also carries a 9mm. You go down to Walmart once per week and you buy just straight, simple, full metal jacket Perfecta from Walmart, and you buy 50 rounds per week with your ammo budget. Your next door neighbor goes down and he buys Federal Hydroshocks, and he only buys 20 or 25 rounds per week on his ammo budget within a similar cost to yours. In the long run, who's going to have ammo left over if you're both purchasing once per week? You live side by side. You live next door to each other. You're going to face similar situations. Your ammo usage is going to be the same, because I will be 100% honest. Would you rather have a 9mm with just straight full metal jacket practice ammo that will still take care of an intruder in your house? Or would you prefer the high dollar, absolutely just best of the market ammo so that you can say that that's what you carry? Most people don't realize the amount of damage standard full metal jacket, what they call practice ammo. I'm sorry, and I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that will disagree with me, but I stockpile that in mass long before that I will spend money on the more expensive ammo. And that's one of those, like I said, I know it's kind of an offshoot of what you're saying. I get the point of what you were saying, but just in the ammo conversation, the one thing I suggest is to pick a grain. If 55 grain AR-15 ammo is what is comfortable for you and it's what you shoot on a regular basis, then you need to stick with that grain no matter what ammo you buy. Because if you practice with 55 grain and then you carry a higher grain, then your rifle and you and your muscle memory are not going to react the same way as you would have in practice.
Right.
Make 100% sure that you pick one ammo that is not only cost efficient and that you are comfortable and accurate with, and stick with that. Because while, yes, Hydroshock may be slightly more effective and may increase bleed out time when you shoot an intruder,
well, if I
standard
empty a
ball
gun
ammo
into the guy
does.
that's in my house, then he's going to bleed out the same because he's got 5 versus 1. I mean,
and that's the thing is, standard ammo does the trick. But one of the things that just absolutely amazes me for some of the gun guys I hang around is the fact that if you ask them what they practice with, well, they practice with 55 grain. Well, what do you care? What do you keep in your rifle if somebody invades your house? If you actually had to pick that rifle up off of your bedside and defend yourself at 1 o'clock in the morning, what's in that rifle? Oh, well, I carry green tip, blah, 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 and Fiocchi, and they practice with 25-cent round ammo, and then they carry $1.20 a cent round ammo. But in that situation of actually having to use their rifle, they're not used to firing the higher grain. Their rifle reacts differently. They're not accurate. It goes all the way back to the water conversation.
Well, that's my point, because you've got, as preppers, you're inundated. Instead of saying, okay, here's 9mm, this is bad ammo. Okay, let's look, for example, 22 long rifle. Before I really knew anything about ammo, 22 long rifle was non-existent. You couldn't go buy it anywhere. Well, one day they had the sale on Thunderbolt. So we went and bought 10 boxes of Thunderbolt because that was all we could get. But I put it in my rifle, and out of a banana clip, I could probably shoot twice before it jammed. And then some didn't fire, some did, and it was because it was this cheap ammo. But
it's
as
thundercrap.
preppers, we're not told this is crap ammo, or, this is a crappy water filter. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, and we're trying to buy, because some of the preppers say you buy quality because your life depends on it. But you've got to pick and choose, and we've talked about it before as having skills and doing this sort of thing. You got to figure out where your skills are more important versus good quality versus high quality versus, like if I was going to get boots, I'd get top-of-the-line high-quality boots that I knew would not blister my feet. If I had to walk in rocks, if I had it gave me ankles, whatever it is, and I had longevity, I would spend the money for boots because, I'm sorry, if you're prepping and you don't have anything on your feet after 2 months because it was Walmart, then you're screwed. But I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing there, John. Sorry, but
I'm letting you go. Look, this is where listeners get to talk. And when we get done with this, I got something else I want to present to the listeners. So continue on.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, we have to know as preppers, it's not only what we need and how to use it, but where is it okay to have, this goes back to the water, canned water versus a water filter versus knowledge how to do your stuff.
No, it's not versus. It's complementing.
Well, when one of us posts it on our site, for example, do the listeners say, "Oh, look, they're advocating this"?
I don't know.
Or
I don't know the answer.
Are we? I mean, and this is where I was going with that canned water stuff. I mean, 30-year-old water versus 50-year-old water, and you're paying $2 more. I'd go. Chances are, if the shit hits the fan, I'm not living for another 30 years anyway. So, if I'm saving $2 on 100 cans, I'd rather go with the cheap stuff. Or 10 water filters that filter out.
Do you teach your boys
100
to prep?
gallons.
Do you teach your boys to prep?
Do I get my boys to prep?
Yeah. Do you teach them?
Mine know more about prepping than I do, probably by now.
So let's say you buy a case.
Lives out of a backpack, and he's been to Peru, and he's been to Hawaii, and he's lived out of his backpack for the last 4 years. That's his life.
My point being that
wandering around, and my youngest.
And when you pass away, they're going to divvy up your supplies.
But they won't even touch the 30-year-old canned water because they'll sneer at it. But in our area here, that's what we have. I'm thinking, okay, I got 30-year-old canned water, and I look at it and my cans are rusted because it's been in water for 30 years.
Well, actually, hang on a second. The water that John is actually referring to has an absolute clean shelf life of longer than that. But one of the preclusions of this conversation that kind of bothers me is that one option is better than the other. Let's be honest. I have the 100-gallon plastic bag that fits in my bathtub that if an EMP hits and power goes out, I have an extra 100 gallons there. I have an extra 100 gallons in my hot water heater. So let's look at the time lapse of events. In the first couple of weeks without running water, what's my family going to do? Well, I'm going to turn to the water that is going to go bad first. And I'm going to rely on the Bob. I'm going to rely on my plastic bottled water. I'm going to rely on the water in my hot water heater. And when that runs out, then I'm going to turn to my big Berkey water filter because I live within walking distance of a water supply. Now, let's say I've only got 5 or 6 years worth of filters, considering my filtration needs are going to exceed far beyond what they have now. When that water runs out, then I'm going to turn to the canned water that I used to build bed frames for both of my son's rooms, where I could store 35 to 40 cases of water apiece in each of their bedrooms, and you walk into the room and you never have a clue that there's hundreds of gallons of water storage underneath their bed. I think the problem with a lot of these conversations is everyone is looking for the, okay, what is that one fix that makes me feel prepared? If you haven't covered all bases, if you haven't said, okay, after an EMP hits, I have 2 to 3 hours, depending on my local water grid, to fill my battery or to fill my plastic bag in my bathtub, and to make sure that my hot water heater's full, and that my sinks are full, and I filled every container that I can possibly fill. And that's the whole thing, is there shouldn't be one option that's better than another. The water filtration system, because when all of it runs out, just like you, I have 4 Ozarka water containers ready to cut gravel, sand, activated charcoal, and a homemade filtration system that I can put in a tree and filter rainwater out of. Now, is that the first thing I'm going to do the day after the grid goes down? Am I going to be out back building a water filter? No. I have supplies to last up until then. Maybe one situation or one standard is not the option. Maybe preparing yourself for multiple levels over time, depending on how long you're in that situation, is the more intelligent answer. I can't say one that's better than the other because I have prepared and stockpiled for all of them. I've stockpiled
and the other thing is,
for the 1 week situation, and I've stockpiled for the 1 year situation.
The other thing you have to do is go by your personal situation. I mean, I live, like you say, you live by a lake. I live by a river. I've got a well. I've got hand pumps. I've got water coming out of the rocks in every direction because we live in the wilderness area and it rains all the time. So we're not short of water. It would have to be a horrendous drought for us to be out of water. But somebody who lives in Arizona is going to have a different aspect on that because, you know, they don't have the water like we do. If I go down south or southeast, I'm going to have a whole different aspect to consider. So that's more of what we should be teaching preppers as prep to your area, prep to your expectations, and prep to your abilities.
And that's where your show comes in.
The other one that you brought up that I found really interesting was when you were talking about, you know, bug-out bags, backpacks. There is such a ridiculously huge market for that type of product. But how many people actually walk into an Army surplus and put 20 or 30 pounds in a bag, put it on their back, strap it around their waist, and spend 30, 45 minutes walking circles through the store while the employees and everyone else there looks at you like you're a weirdo? Because I did just that. When it came time for, when my level of prepper hit, okay, I need bug out bags for my family. And I started doing the research, and I was completely and totally overwhelmed with just the sheer amount of products available, the sheer amount of opinions that people are willing to express online. And I'm not kidding you. I probably spent a good 2 to 3 months trying to make up my mind. What was the perfect brand? What had the best reviews? And in the long run, what I did was I went into the store with a 25-pound weight out of my personal gym in my hand, put it in a backpack, put it on my back, and walked around the store with it for a half an hour. And the first one I walked around with for 10 minutes was uncomfortable as all get out. So I tried a different one, and I tried a different one. And in the long run, I found a bag. I found a bag that is literally, it fits my size. I'm a 6'4", 250-pound Viking. A bigger bag is going to fit me. A smaller bag is not going to be uncomfortable. Julie, your situation is not the same. You may not carry as much weight. Your sons may carry more. But what is comfortable for you is not going to be comfortable for me. And it really, I hate to say it, but technology really does us a disservice, because in the end, no matter how much I researched and no matter how much I looked, it took me walking into the store with a 25-pound weight in my hand and looking like a complete and total goober to everyone around me for a couple of hours before I walked out of that store. I spent $85, and that bag goes everywhere with me. I've had to rewrap the top handle of it in paracord, because when I'm walking from my personal truck to my work truck, I carry it by the handle. I don't throw it over my shoulder. I just carry it by the handle and put it in my work bin. But it's always with me. So I've had to rewrap and redo the top handle on that, because it gets used more than any other handle on there it does. But if it came time today that I had to put that pack on my back, I know that it's comfortable. Not only because I walked into that store, I put it on my back and I carried 25 pounds, but because I put a foldable stock AR-15. I put my sword and my machete. I put my storable food. I put a canteen full of water. I put an extra 2-liter full of water on the bottom. I filled the Camelback. I put extra set of clothes. I put everything that I would keep in my bug-out bag in it, and I walk for a mile every morning with it on my back. I've had police pull over and want to know why I'm carrying a piece of 10-pound steel pipe on a strap around my shoulders. Well, you guys would kind of frown on me carrying an AR-15 around my neighborhood, so I carry a piece of pipe that's the same amount of weight when I do my morning walk every morning, because I'm going to be used to carrying this bag. I'm going to be used to carrying this weight on my shoulder on a gun strap with this bag. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to doing it. It doesn't come to, there is no amount of research. Yes, it helps. It gives you ideas. It gives you the research, and the internet gives you things to look for.
True.
But in the end, if you can't get up in the morning, and I'm talking first thing, wake up and put that backpack on your back and go for a 1-mile walk, then you chose the wrong bag.
True. So, all right.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jules. You got last word on this subject.
I was going to say, I found my bug-out bag in a secondhand store, and it's one of those top-of-the-line ones, kind of, but it was military, and I don't know, it was from a surplus store. They cleaned out storage sheds, and I paid $25. I think I paid $25 for it, and it's about the most comfortable thing I've ever found. Like I was saying in the chat room, I started out with exterior frame packs. So
That's what I have.
When I started with that, they were horrible, the way the belts fit and everything else.
That's true.
But you just figure out what you can use, what you're looking for. Now, I used to carry about a 45 or 50-pound pack when I went, but I can carry it for a while, but with my knees and such, so that's why I went to horses. That's my packing now for the most part. But I still carry a bug-out bag in my truck. I hit a deer 2 months ago and totaled my car, and I had to walk home. And that was about 3 miles. And all I did was pull my bug-out bag out of the thing and went up the road. It took me a while because I'm not the hiker that I used to be, but it was very comfortable.
No.
Huh?
Did you butcher
Oh,
the
yeah,
deer?
vaporized it. But that's why I carry a bug-out bag in my car all the time. So,
Okay.
Just quick question. Prepper exercise. Did you stop somewhere on the side of the road and cook yourself a small meal using your canteen cup just for practice?
no, I could, that's nothing. I would have drugged the deer behind me if there was anything left of it. We could do that.
There's always
John's
something
mentioned
left
that
if
he
you look
needs to
hard
call
enough.
CPS on my stuff because we have a flag inside our house. It's a little yellow flag. It came from the military somewhere. It's like a name tag thing they stick on their packs or something. And my kids know if it's laying on the ground in front of the door when they come in, they got less than 10 minutes to grab their packs and get up the hill. And they can't come back until I come and get them. And so, our family knows that stuff. They've done it in the middle of winter. They've done it in the spring. They've done it in the rain. They've done it in the dark.
All right.
It's just what we do or did. So.
All right. Okay. New subject I want to get to all the listeners, and that is this. About 3 or 4 months ago, I believe it was Rob in Indiana. And, JD, I believe you were in on that call when it came in. And I was thinking about it. I would like to know how many listeners would be interested, probably, say, next summer. And this is just, I'm throwing the idea out here. We can flesh it out a little bit, just some ideas. How many of you listeners out there would like to meet up on a farm somewhere and, I don't know, do activities or just to meet and do a meet and greet? If you're interested, call in, shoot me a line at contraradio@live.com. What do you guys think? I know Rob was kind of for it. I know JD says, oh, he was going crazy. I said, JD, do you got somewhere you could shoot? And he says, this is Texas. I'll just go down the block. So I'm curious.
It really truly is, brother.
I'm just asking. I'm just thinking, we can't. We probably couldn't do one this summer because it'd take a little bit. It's going to take some time to organize. And I was thinking, if we're going to do it, we have to probably do it in something like late July, early August. Because if we do in May, well, you got Mother's Day to contend with. June, you got Father's Day to contend with. And then a few weeks after that, we got the 4th of July, praise God. And after that, it's the calendars are wide open. So I'm just kind of just putting it out there. I'm wondering, Rob said he'd be more than happy to host it at his farm. But it's like, before you even start doing that, think about some of the things. Like, do we have to have activities? Are we just going to do a meet and greet? What are we going to do, a barbecue? I'm just throwing it out there. I'd like to know what some of the listeners think. Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah.
Well, let me
go ahead.
Let me add a question to your listeners, John, if you don't mind.
Fire.
If if this is the type of thing you're going to be interested in, if this is something you would really like to come out and do, something you'd bring your family to,
Right.
and you're listening right now, and you would really, truly be interested in dedicating to coming to an event like this, what type of courses would you like to see taught? What type of people would if there were small seminars, if there was a pistol defense course, if there was
a Hogan's Alley
preservation of water course,
Hogan's Alley
if you had
combat
the
course.
option, like you were looking at a list of prepper courses taught by people who have researched it for years, what things would you like to learn at that type of event, and what type of instructors or what type of, I guess you could say, field experts would make the event more enjoyable for you?
Yeah, and those are all questions that are valid, because I was thinking about that. What would we call it? The CRN prepper party? I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Do we have to? Do we have to have?
I'm not going anywhere near that one.
Do we have to?
My vote goes for Kooky Prepper Campout.
Do we have to have any? Do we have to have any classes? Why can't we just sit around and BS and just talk? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
That sounds
Yeah,
a lot more enjoyable
I
to me.
think it would be. I think it'd be one of them things. It'd be cool to see what other people had for skills that you could add to your skill frame and swap out different things, and just be able to have the chance to meet and talk with other people that have the same ideas you do, even if it's in a different mindset.
You know what? I was thinking, because last time I'm thinking, I bet you JD could set up a Hogan's Alley combat course. Now, that would be fun. Do we want to? And if we have it in Texas, I was going to get a hold of Mike Norris to see if they could have him come on out with one of his cameras and whatnot, maybe one of his film crews, and just film it, whatever.
If you invite Mike Norris, you're going to have a whole slew of people that come out to see Mike Norris.
And if he brought his and if he brought his dad,
That'd be pretty cool.
Well,
look, guys, I'm just throwing it out
Chuck
there.
Norris out there, and I'm just going to have him knock me out just for good measure.
I just want to see what it's like.
Believe it or not, at 12 years old, I got to go to a Walker Texas Ranger filming, where they were actually filming in my hometown on an old abandoned lake bed, and I actually got to go out there. And one of the things that they made 100% sure of, those of us kids that wandered through the woods out to that lake bed because they knew what was going on to watch from a distance, they let us come up and they let us talk to people, but they didn't let us anywhere near Chuck.
Guys, I'm just throwing it out there.
I hate to say it, but I know him, so my mother-in-law knows him very, very well. He eats over at the house all the time, or he used to.
Ah.
So that was my mother-in-law, my husband that passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But
They are great community people.
They are.
By all accounts, living in Texas, you know somebody from just about everywhere.
Right.
And by all accounts I've ever heard, they are just great community people.
Great
You would
Americans.
Never expect them to be anything other than John or Bob that worked down at the windmill.
Great Americans. But I said, guys, it's just something I'm throwing out there. I just want to see gauge what the response would be. And you're right. And the thing of it is, I wouldn't tell anybody we're having Mike Norris out there. I wouldn't even say anything. Just have him show up. Something along that line. But I'm just throwing it out there just to see what you guys would. How many of our listeners would actually be interested in that?
Like a weekend event?
It could be a weekend event. It might be one day. It depends on when JD gets tired of us, messing up his farm. I don't know.
Well, it can't really be one day because you're going to have people coming from all over. So they're going to fly in for one day or whatever.
I don't know.
That's another consideration.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
I could see a 4 or 5 day. I could see at least a 3 or 4 day event.
We could.
There's a lot of locations especially if you're looking at Texas. There's a lot of locations that you could look at an event over a few days that would put you out away from everyone else with all the amenities you want. It would be no problem to. There are so many public lakes here that have shooting ranges, campgrounds,
Wow.
everything you could possibly want in one small location.
Is this something that
So
the listeners
it's
would want,
really
though?
One of those.
And if we did that,
If there's any interest in it, you know I'm on board, John.
you know, and the thing of it is, you know, we'd have to have somebody that's going to be the coordinator for it. So you just, you know, you can't do it for a week or two. You'd be on the hook for, you know, at least, yeah, if we were to go do this next summer, you're talking at least 13 months to plan it, to get it together, and can it be done? And how many listeners would actually show up? I don't know. That's why I'm just kind of throwing it out there, just kind of, you know, this might be something different. You know, I don't want.
Forky Wheels have to take a vacation.
No, please. He's working for slave wages over there in Northern Ireland. It's pathetic.
I can't even remember what the word vacation means. Vacation for me means a week to work at the house instead of working at the shop.
Well, I just put it out there. You know, guys, or we could go down to Louisiana, go to Gary's place and trash it. You know, I mean, he doesn't care. He'll get something to do for the next 6 weeks.
Dude, I'd say we go to Terry's farm. I think we could really, truly trash Terry's farm in a good manner that would give him something to do for a long period of time.
And he wouldn't care. But he has to make sure he has to make sure he has a berm so we can go. You know, and he said he was going to build a firing range, a shooting range on his farm. He said he was going to put.
If we had it at Terry Costa's place, he would have a list. He would have a to-do list for every person coming when we got there. You're in charge for improving my water filtration system. You're in charge for picking tomatoes. You're going to be over here helping my wife out.
You know.
And they're going to be shoveling out the chicken pen.
There you go.
Yeah. No, that's John. John will be on the manure detail.
I don't care. I've shoveled shit before. Hell, I'm doing it now. So why not?
I was going to say, you do it on the radio a couple hours a week, don't you?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm just putting it out there.
I have an interesting one for you if you're interested in the topic change, because something came up to me today that was really interesting. If you want me to hold off, I will, but I had one that I thought, I don't know, it brought a lot of things to mind today.
Fire away.
You up for a topic change yet?
Oh, okay. Listen up. If you're interested in this thing we're talking about for next summer, if you're interested in something like that, drop us a line. Let us know. ContraRadio@live.com. Let me know. I just want to know, just curious, how many people would actually show up. I don't want lip service. If you say you're going to show up, please show up. But no lip service. Don't sit there and say, yeah, it's a great idea. Oh, I'm sorry, I was grouting my tile that weekend. Yeah, right. Anyways, I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, topic change. Go ahead, sir.
Earlier today, I actually am facing a very, very different situation today than I ever faced. Most everybody that listens to the show and knows me a little bit knows I have a little plot here in Texas, a wife and two sons, a 16-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Right.
And today, I not only got several media sources, but about 5 minutes before Fox News and other media sources started reporting, I got a call from a friend who's in the Navy in South Korea to tell me that the North Korean military just shot off 12 to 15 surface what was going on, and it hit absolute chaos.
Absolutely.
And I'm standing in my living room in small town Texas, and I make a realization. My 16-year-old son is on vacation with his grandmother 4 states away.
There you go.
My baby is 42 miles away at his aunt's house, and my wife got off of work 30 minutes ago, and she's on her way out to her aunt's house to pick up the baby. But this shit potentially just hit the fan.
Right.
I'm possibly looking at a declaration of war. I'm looking at the possibility of a North Korean EMP attack at any moment.
Possibly.
Where do I stand right now? I've got one son 4 states away. I've got my wife and other child 42 miles away. And I'm standing in my living room going, holy hell, this could be it. And all of a sudden, I came to an absolute questioning. How do I get my family home? How do all of the preps and everything that I've done on my square acre apply when I'm the only one here?
It's a great question.
If an EMP hit right now, how do I get my family back to where my preps are applicable? And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't have any answers.
There are no answers.
But it was one of those things that scared the holy living out of me.
Right.
You need to join Conflicted because we just talked about that the last couple of weeks. So.
Tell them again, Julie, where it is.
You got to remember, though, you got to do,
I said you guys need to go to Conflicted. We just discussed that the last couple of weeks.
Yes, they have.
And I think we discussed it on Ladies of the Watch a couple months ago.
Yes, you did. This is a very serious issue.
I realized that I have started to come to a feeling of comfort. And it's taken me 3 years of continual work on my little square acre that I began to feel comfortable. And in that one moment, in that one phone call from a friend in the Navy, in that few news releases that started hitting my phone. Now, thank God it came back that it was just another missile test.
But what if it wasn't?
In one moment, everything that I felt, every bit of comfort that I had reached, suddenly became completely and totally inapplicable because my preparations were prerequisited on my family's always within a couple of miles of my house. What happens when they're not? And it was one of those that my wife and I had a discussion last week of talking about places that we always dreamed of visiting. We always dreamed of vacationing to.
What, North Korea?
And we never will. Not North Korea, but one that my wife brought up is she dreamed her entire life of visiting London. And she'll tell you to this day that she'll never have the opportunity. For me, it's Scandinavia, it's Norway, it's my heritage countries. The true Viking lineage countries are the places I dreamed of visiting. Mm-hmm. But you look at those countries today with the crime rates, with the rape, with the attacks on American citizens and visitors. There are places that I dreamed my entire life that I was going to get to visit, that I was going to do once I got older and I had the money and the time to go do things like that, that I'll never have the opportunity because I'll never put myself or my family in that situation. And like I said, I found a level of comfort in the things that I had been doing to prepare myself for my family in a bad situation.
Right.
And I was truly made uncomfortable today. I was truly, none of it mattered. The literal, John, I'm not kidding you, the thousands of gallons of water storage didn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
The generators didn't matter.
Nothing.
Nothing that I had done prior to that moment mattered because my family wasn't right here and secured. So, I don't know. I got a feeling on the next few days I'm going to be on a very, very mentally strenuous journey of how do I find peace with that? How do I find comfort with that?
You can't.
Because
let me ask you this.
in the most of uncomfortable situations today.
Do you have a plan for it? You figure out what could go wrong, where your family could be. Usually, you got to go based on what their normal, everyday responsibilities are, what's their routine, and plan for it based on that, because obviously there's 1,000 things that can go wrong. You could be at work and then step out to go to the grocery store for a cup of coffee and it hits, and then you're not where you're supposed to be. But all you can do is all you can do, and make sure your kids are prepared, your daycare, who's getting what, who's going where if this happens. That's all you can do.
Why do you think I hate going to Chicago for any reason? For the exact reason that we're talking about now. I hate going to Chicago.
Why would you?
I
Why would
hate
you?
it. There's no reason to go there for anything. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I have found even with my.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I have found even with my kids, from the oldest to the youngest, and we've got 5, and my daughter's kind of in the middle. She's not even a teenager yet, and even if something happens,
Ooh, we're losing your
they've
signal
all got
here.
pocket knives. I'm back.
Okay.
Bad connection there, bro.
You what? I'm sorry.
Bad connection. We lost you about halfway through.
Oh, okay. No, and I said, they all have their own little gear, and they all know what they need to do with it if they have to do it with. And you start with them young, and that way, when they're halfway at a certain age, they know what to do to get home.
Well, there's no right or wrong reason. There just isn't. Okay.
Well, my joke for the line is 5 kids is ill preparation to begin with.
Well, maybe he knows what
I couldn't
causes
imagine.
it.
I have 2 sons. I couldn't imagine having 5 children in that type of situation. I damn near had an emotional breakdown over the fact that my 2 sons and my wife were not immediately accessible when I felt that the threat was present. I couldn't even imagine having 5.
I have one in school and one that's gone. And when they were both in school, we had a meetup plan. If something happened and they were told to go get on the buses because they were getting shipped somewhere else, I said, you don't do that. You go to our spot, and I will meet you there. And you walk. They had a walking path. They had a place where they could pick up stuff that we had cached. And they walked a specific route off the road, and out of visual. So if they saw me coming down the road, they knew where I was going to go looking for them along the way. And if I didn't get them, they knew how to get up over the mountain, and they knew the route to follow, and they would leave. We have different ways of communication on the trail. And I would look for it. And if they did, and that's our biggest weakness there is because my youngest is too lazy to leave me the communication. And so, but, he's going to be spending a lot of nights out in the woods by himself then, because they're learning that if they don't communicate and I can't find them, they can't come in. That was one of our deals. But this way, we knew at least where they were going, what direction they were in, if they had made it past a certain point. Because there's only one way in and one way out on our
Very
path,
good.
6 months out of the year. So, but you can teach them all you want. And whether they do it or not is the other thing. My kids know, but they're lazy. They don't do it, One winter, they went out at 4 in the morning in the sleet and the snow, and it was probably 8 degrees out. They bugged out. Well, I went to get them in a couple hours and couldn't find them. They didn't set their trail. They didn't set their communications. They didn't do anything, so they were out there for like 14 hours, and they were fine. They were sitting around a campfire. You did not do all the work. Sitting around, my son says he did all the work. They were sitting around those little smoker cubes that you're supposed to use as an emergency to cook over a deal. And they didn't set their trail, so they sat there and froze the whole day.
Tell them they did. Tell that older one that's talking in the background. He didn't communicate, therefore he failed.
You're a no-go.
That's exactly it. He would have been in the house drinking hot chocolate by 10 o'clock.
Go or no-go.
But-
You're a no-go, sir. All right.
It's what it is.
Okay, coming up very shortly. Get your pencil and papers out. I'm going to be giving you a list of essential radio frequencies that you will need to know. So continue this for about, 5 more minutes, and then we're going to go. And I'm going to give you these essential radio frequencies that you need to have for your communications. Continue on.
Well, John, let's clarify that, though. Are you talking radio communications from a Baofeng handheld two-way? Are you talking ham radio? It might help a little bit for a lot of people who are newer to radio communication to clarify what types of communications and what radios are available.
You would be wise. You would be wise. First of all, get a radio that does low and high frequency. If you want, look, no matter what radio you get, you're going to have to monitor a myriad of frequencies. You're just going to have to, because there's no.
Is that a CB?
No, this will be a ham radio or a military radio. If you can get a military radio with low frequency, you're going to be sitting pretty good. But those radios are hard to come by, but they're out there. If you can get your paws on one, get it. I would urge you to get it.
Can you put some information on CRN about those?
About which part, dear?
I've got the Baofengs, but they don't have. I can hit China with mine, but that's because we have a
repeater nearby.
A tower right above us,
Yeah,
and then
it's a
there's
repeater.
another one just not too far away.
Right, you're banging the repeater.
I wanted one for my truck
Baofeng.
because I'm driving clear cross country in a month, and I kind of wanted something that was better than those.
Oh, okay. There's nothing wrong with the
I'm
Baofeng,
actually
but they're about
looking
4
at my
watts.
Baofeng two-way right now, VHF and UHF.
Right. You know, the Baofengs have got about 4 to 5 watts of power. I think the very new one they're selling has about 8 watts. So that's going to put you, that'll be fine for what you're using it for. We will have to, I'll have to look into the the military radios you could find, but you're going to have to find them. They're out there. They're hard to find. They're hard to get because people want them. So, all right, let's get on with this. Okay, your frequencies. Get your paper and pen ready if you are ready. I know Tim is in North Carolina. We shall start off. Now, 34.90. 34.90. That's used nationwide by National Guard during emergencies. 34.90. 39.
Hi, John, real quick.
Yeah.
The one thing I was going to recommend, I pulled my Baofeng out, and
Yeah.
I have the original box that it came in.
Yeah.
Quick recommendation, anybody that takes this list down, take and transcribe this list onto the box that your radio came in.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the box you're generally going to keep up with. If you transcribe this onto the box, if you ever have necessity to get into that box, you have the frequencies right there instead of finding your radio and then trying to find your radio frequency list later on.
You can also, with the Baofengs, they come with a patch cord. If you use the Chirp program, it's free. Look for it online. You can program all these frequencies directly into your Baofeng. So
That's what I did.
Yes, sir.
that's a beautiful thing. So, and right on the, where you write on the box, I put it on a slip of paper and I put it in the box just for that reason. Just for that reason.
All right, 34.90 is the National Guard emergency channel.
Correct.
Okay.
39.46. 39.46. That's used for interdepartment. 39.46. Used for interdepartment emergency communications by local and state police forces. In Illinois, for example, we would call, what was that called? No, we had that. It was iReach. iReach was the interdepartment emergency. You could hit iReach, and you can talk to everybody. Next one, 47.42. 47.42. It's used across the United States by the Red Cross for relief operations. 47.42.
If you're not familiar familiar with 47.42, then you need to get out there and get more active in emergency relief in your community.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The next one, and this is going to be used, 52.525. 52.525. That's a calling frequency used by ham radio operators in FM on the 6-meter band. 52.525. Ham radio on the 6-meter band.
6-meter band?
6-meter.
Okay.
What is that? Okay. Next one, 121.50. 121.50. That's the International Aeronautical Emergency Frequency. 121.50. Oh, boy.
What else you got, John? 121.50 for International Aeronautic Emergency?
Yes, hold on. Yeah, that was 121.50, International Aeronautical Emergency Frequency. The next one we're looking at is 138.225. 138.225. That's disaster relief operations used by FEMA. It is active during earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, or other catastrophic events. 138.225.
That's the one you should be listening to. Make sure they're not rounding up people in your neighborhood.
They're not. Well, again, it's 138.225. All right. Okay, this next channel I'm going to give you. If you got a Baofeng, you're going to hear this channel. It's very active. It's 146.52. 146.52. It's almost like channel 19 on the CB. I said almost. And it's used by ham radio operators for non-repeater communications on the 2-meter band. It can be very busy in many parts of the country. For example, in my part of the county, up near Antioch, which is by the Illinois state line, Illinois-Wisconsin state line, that thing is bouncing signals from Milwaukee and Chicago to all around. It's very busy in there. All right, next one. Yeah, this is kind of. I don't know if you'd want to use. This is now that I'm not even going to bother with it. That one's too stupid. I can't stand it. Okay.
It must be the Democratic Party channel.
Ew, no, that's just fun entertainment. That. All right. Next one is 154.28. 154.28. Now that is the interdepartment emergency channel for local fire departments. They've got 2 other channels they use. So you got 154.28, 154.265, 154.295. I'll repeat them. 154.28, 154.265, and 154.295.
And that should typically be a local channel, John?
It'll be local for local fire departments. If they're calling in what we call a MABUS box, they're calling an extra alarm, they'll probably be using one of those channels. And you'll hear it go, too. All right. Next one. 155.160. 155.160. Now, Julie, I don't know if you can confirm this. This is supposed to be used by local and state agencies during search and rescue operations.
Okay.
I don't know if it is. This is the information I've gleaned. So it's 155.160. Let's see, we talked about that.
Okay. .160.
155.160.
Okay.
For those of you that live near the coast, perhaps you might use this one. 156.75. 156.75. And that is International Broadcast of Maritime Weather Alerts. International Broadcast of Maritime Weather Alerts.
Can you repeat the numbers?
Sure. 156.75. 156.75. The next one. This is maritime distress frequency. 156.80. 156.80. All ships must monitor this frequency while at sea. It is also heavily used on rivers and lakes, etc. 156.80, maritime distress. Now, in case your radio does not come pre-programmed with the NOAA weather broadcast, don't get hooked up because it's NOAA weather broadcast. Many times they will broadcast national emergency information on these channels. So I'm going to give you a list of channels, and they're all going to be NOAA weather broadcast. And they're all different depending on where you live, county-wise. The first one, 162.40. 162.40. The next is 162.425. 162.425. The next one, 162.45. 162.45. The next one, 162.475. 162.475. The next one, 162.50. 162.50. The next one, 162.525. 162.525. The next one, 162.55. 162.55. This is the last NOAA frequency, 163.275. 163.275.
Now, John, for those of us that aren't 100% up on radios as much, explain exactly what a NOAA frequency is.
The NOAA frequency is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. For example, if you have a weather radio, it will pop up, and a lot of scanners, my older scanner has it, some CBs have them already pre-programmed, and my ham radio has it already pre-programmed. Those channels are pre-programmed. They give out weather alerts, whether it's a tornado or whatever. It just avalanche, earthquake, whatever it is. So, with that said, okay. Here's another. This is a National Guard frequency, 163.
I'm running out of size of the box, John. Come on now.
Well, I said get paper. I didn't say get a box. All right. 163.4875. 163.4875. That's a National Guard emergency channel. The next one, This is a national disaster preparedness frequency that's used jointly by the armed forces. This is 163.5125. 163.5125.
Label that one again, John.
163.5125 is national disaster preparedness frequency that is used jointly by the armed forces. The next one, 164.50. 164.50. This is the National Communications Channel for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. 164.50. And this is one you don't want to miss. The next one is one you do not want to miss. 168.55. 168.55. That's the national channel used by civilian agencies of the federal government for communications during emergencies and disasters. The next one, military aviation emergencies. 243.00. 243.00. Military aviation emergencies. These next two frequencies is used by the space shuttle for reentry and landing. 259. Oh no! Don't laugh. You might want to. That might be useful.
Just in case I ever want to land the space shuttle.
You'd be surprised.
Just in case you're worried about the alien bugs that are invading our atmosphere through the space shuttle.
Just remember, they're up there. They can see what's going on. 259.70. 259.70.
Yeah.
And the
they
other...
They can see and they're laughing at us.
Maybe, or watching horrified. And the other shuttle frequency is 296.80. 296.80. That's right, I forgot. Obama disbanded the shuttle program. Nice job, jackass. That doesn't mean they aren't using those channels. Keep them nearby. This is a flight channel used by the U.S. Air Force. 311.00. 311.00. The next two channels, U.S. Coast Guard Aviation. 317.70. 317.70. And 317.80. 317.80. Coast Guard Aviation. Another Air Force channel. 319.40. 319.40. The next one, U.S. Navy Aviators. 340.20. 340.20. The next two. National Communications Channel. This is the last two. National Communications Channel for the Interstate Commerce Commission. 409.20. 409.20. And the last is the National Communications Channel for the Department of State. 409.625. 409.625. Now, don't tell me we don't come up with good information here on this show. We do. We do.
Well, that brings up an interesting question, John. You were talking earlier about the evolution of Contra Radio Network and how a lot of things that you have said recently have been repetition of the past, and you were talking about the next evolution of the Contra Radio show. It sounds to me like Julie has been giving her marching orders as to
yes, she has.
Where she is really going to be focusing.
Right.
So here's my curiosity, Commander-in-Chief.
Oh,
what are your personal marching orders as far as the standard Contra Radio Network? And on the Roundtable Report, what direction do you really see this going? What focuses are you really looking forward to? Because I'm intrigued.
For too long. Well, for 3 years.
I'm so caught up on the term marching orders.
It threw me too, Julie. It threw me too.
Huh?
It threw me too. I'll tell you what. I wanted Julie to continue doing what she's doing, but I also wanted.
That's all I know.
Oh, please.
March, Julie, March.
But I want to be able to open up other doors for her to be more creative. She's very creative, and that's why I said.
You wouldn't know it by my show.
You'd be surprised. Hey, you and Dawn.
I think I'm getting better, though.
Let me tell you. Okay, you didn't listen to Sunday's show, did you? Because if you did, you
I
would.
never listened to you, John. My Wi-Fi. I still live in a house with no roof,
All right.
so my Wi-Fi is very spotty.
Let me tell you
That's why
something.
I'm on the phone.
Let me tell you something. I don't know what you and Dawn have been doing, but the female audience participation, or I'm sorry, female listening audience, has jumped 12%. We're up to 37%.
Secret.
Wow.
I know.
I don't know if that's...
That's those estrogenical bonds kicking in, I swear.
It's something. Okay.
If you saw me and Don, you wouldn't think estrogen was involved.
Well, I got to tell you. So to answer,
Okay, John's being serious and we're just laughing.
it's all right. I'm trying to answer your question. For 3 years, I've done the, you need to prep. Here's how to prep. Here's what you need. You should do this. You prep. Be a prepper. Be a prepper. And over the years, and after those last 3 years, I've had people say, I want to start a group. How do I do it? Or I got a group, but what do I do now? It's time to take my show, the Wednesday and Sunday night show, and I'm going to put it up a notch. Let's start telling people how to start becoming operational, how to organize it, and how to be operational. That's where I'm taking it now.
It sounds like you're moving away from the formula and ready to really, really get into the meat of the topic.
Isn't it time?
Yeah, that's the best way I can put it. It's time to move past the baby's milk. I think you've brought a lot of people to this community. I think you've developed a very large community of people who have moved past those initial baby steps.
Right.
And what me and Dawn what Dawn referred to as the knee-jerk reaction in the beginning, I think
You're absolutely right.
I think you've covered that initial reaction. I think you've covered the getting into the lifestyle, and I am greatly looking forward to the evolution of the show. I'm greatly looking forward to starting to dig into the second order thinking.
Right.
Because you're right. Everything up until now, and this is a curse of the prepper community, is 95% of the prepper community is the beginnings, the getting into this lifestyle, the start of it. And very seldom, and I think very, very few people that claim to be preppers, and a lot of people that get into prepping never reach that second
90
order thinking.
seconds.
And I think that I've heard it in you, and I've heard it in conversations, that there's a whole second level to it that a lot of people out there may not be ready for, but it's time for a good, solid program for those of us that are.
Right.
Congratulations. I'm anticipation. I look forward to it, brother.
Well, we're going to move it. All right, I'm down to a minute before they cut me off here.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. I want to thank my guests tonight, Gary, JD, and, of course, the lovely Julie. Thanks for calling in, guys. For my Prepper and Patriot friends out there, I say to you this: be safe, be alert, and be vigilant. I'm John Jeffers at the Contra Radio Network. The Contra Dawn Show is this Friday at 8 o'clock, and then Julie's show Saturday. And she's got a whole new marching orders. All right. Thank you.
Hey, John, God bless our troops. God bless our fighting men, and may every one of them come home to their families where they belong.
Amen to that. Good night, folks. Thanks for joining me. And I will see all of you again
10
Sunday
seconds.
night. John Jones of the Contra Radio Network saying good night. Be safe, alert, and vigilant. Whoa.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about.